It's odd. I mean, maybe that works better if I don't have to download anything, but that would mean he has to be live. All right, I believe the video. Yep, the video is up.
Yeah.
Take that, coughing. Yeah. Enjoy that, audience. Listen to me cough and hack and die on the air. That's good radio.
Yeah. I gotta leave at 7. Gotta take care of doggies and kitty cats.
I gotcha. It was absolutely gorgeous today, too.
Yeah,
like
it was.
Stunningly gorgeous outside today. What a change from yesterday.
Yeah. We got the EcoFlow yesterday. That was actually pretty cool.
The what now?
It's like a battery backup for the pump.
Oh right, yeah, you told me. Yeah, with the.
But I mean, it'll do anything. It'll do like TV sets or refrigerators or audio servers or anything like that. You want to keep.
Well, audio servers. I mean, let's go. Know where our priorities are here. Keep that audio server going.
That's really weird. Oh, that's right. I'm not a host.
Oh no, I can't do that with this.
Yeah,
it doesn't let me.
I was able to send messages before. I can't send messages now.
You can't? Why?
In the chat for some reason. It says.
Sure you can.
Sending messages is only supported for hosts. Enjoy the stream, learn more. So I was able to do that.
Oh, that's odd. You've done that before.
Yeah, I know. I can't do it now. You know why?
No.
Because I changed your computer.
The computer's rejecting you. Well, I'm in settings. I don't see anything in settings that would allow me. That's account settings. I don't want to do that.
Well, you probably can't add me because you don't have the desktop version. You have the web version.
Probably. Because heaven forbid, you know.
Hey, yeah, heaven forbid you want to do that. Whatever.
As you know, I'm uncomfortable with what she so kindly offered.
Mm-hmm. Solid Blue Sister.
But I can't wait.
Can't wait to
both. Like it's a little bit of both. Like I'm kind of uncomfortable with it at the same time. Yes, please. Yesterday would be great.
So he says, I don't use Bud as main link streaming server. I use a different streaming associated with my automation system. So we have to get that information from the automation system.
Once we figure it out, I think it's going to be those things. It's like, oh, well, that was simple. It's just right now, it doesn't seem that way, but I feel like
I ship my pants. You ship your pants. I ship my pants. You shipped your pants. I shipped my pants.
Let's see if I can get through this.
Ghost Club Productions. Kennedy Effect is alive. Okay.
Should be coming soon. Oh, it's 6:01. Okay. When did I get hit? Did I get stopped? Yeah. Okay, good. So I know where I got stopped. I was really kind of. Well, maybe I wasn't all that close. I know where I got stopped at least. All right, I got 108 in anyway. Let's do this thing, shall we? Oh, don't go over there. Let's slide you over here. And 1 and 2 and 3.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who brings the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Cause it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you'll cast your vote for Kennedy and a change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Welcome, welcome, welcome from my humble second bedroom here in East Talking Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of these United States. North American continent, Western Hemisphere on this planet Earth, the only one. We have third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect, live with you for the 8th of September 2024. The 8th of September already. 2024. We are less than 2 full months away from the end of the 2024 election cycle. Let's get straight to the business end of the program. We are live right now on Facebook, my Facebook, Jeff Kennedy. We are live on our Facebook group page, That Other Side of Information. We have shared the program to 108 different places across the Facebook universe before we were stopped. Hopefully by the second hour, I will be able to finish and complete that. We are live on our YouTube channel, which is also same name as our Facebook group, That Other Side of Information. Again, probably sick of me saying it by now, YouTube, best place to catch up with the show. If there's any part that you ever miss, if you can't listen to the whole thing, and I don't blame you, 3 hours is a long time on a Sunday, youtube.com/that other side of information. We are live on our Twitch channel, which is Jeff R. Kennedy. R is in middle initial R. I almost said my middle name. You don't need to know that. It's not very good. It's not classy. Not like Royal or Rudiger or something like really exciting like that. It's just R. Jeff R. Kennedy on Twitch. We are on LinkedIn, Jeff Kennedy as well. It is a Sunday program, so that means the audio of the program is doubled in size. We are live right now on GCPR, Ghost Club Productions Radio, gcpr.live. Go to our website. You can find everywhere that you can listen to gcpr.live around the globe. We are also live on one of the originators and foundational, cornerstones of global internet radio, and that is hot101.net. Hello, hot101.net. We missed you last week. Great to be back with you as well. If you don't know how to listen to hot101.net, then you haven't been listening to me for 5.5 years. That's for darn sure. It's very, very simple. Let's go through it. Hot101.net, our name is our web address. If you can connect to the internet below, on, or above Earth with any type of device that is capable of connecting to the internet, then you can listen to hot101.net. Desktops, laptops, phones, tablets, Bluetooth it to speakers, to headphones, to earbuds, Bluetooth it in the car. Then you can tell Alexa to play hot101.net. You can also use our apps. You don't need to use the main website if you don't choose to. If you want to, you certainly can. But if you don't like to, hey, you can go to our apps. Apple App Store for Apple devices, Google Play Store for Android devices, and the TuneIn radio app. Go up to the search bar, type in hot101.net, and you are listening. Great thing about our website, about the hot101.net website, to be quite honest with you, the GCPR website is the exact same way. About the GCPR website and the hot101.net website and apps, plural, no credit card, no fingerprint, no blood sample, don't have to sign over your house, don't even have to create a login and password if you don't choose to do so. You open it and you're listening, period, piece of cake, straight away. Very, very simple to do. We are also live on the TCP Media Group on Facebook, and I think I have finally covered everyone. Technical issues, none so far tonight, but the night is young. We're only 8 minutes into the program, so anything could happen. George is with us here for the first hour. We are expecting Cole Goodman at around the bottom of the hour, plus or minus. A hearty birthday. Happy birthday to Amanda Waldman, the Democratic nominee for the U.S. House of Representatives in the, she's not in the 15th, I think she's the 8th or 9th PA congressional. I always get that wrong. Always. It's not the 8th. It's the 9th. It's the 9th. Or no, is it the 11th? I always get the damn things wrong, which is ridiculous. I shouldn't do that. But anyway, Amanda, George will find it for me. Amanda. She's been on the program several times. Great friend of the program. Great friend of mine, personally, to be blunt and for the purposes of full disclosure, but also a great friend of the program, great friend of just people and politics, and somebody who's running to do the right thing for the right reasons for all people, all residents everywhere. Hearty birthday greetings to Amanda, and of course to anybody else that we may have missed. Please, as well, regardless of where, especially on our Sunday program, which I think is a little different than the weeknights. It's obviously longer, a little slower, maybe a little more, I don't want to say silly, maybe a little more relaxed, shall we say, or at least I hope. If you've never been with us before, if you're brand new, first off, if you're brand new, hello and welcome. But also, if you wouldn't mind, we have a little bit of homework for you. I would ask you to please drop in a first name and where you're listening. GCPR both and Hot 101 have great listenerships literally around the globe. It is one of the really, truly exciting things about the internet. If you can log on, you can listen to anything from anywhere. There's nothing stopping you here in the United States from listening to radio from the UK or Germany or Russia or across the African continent, all up and down South America. There's nothing stopping you. You can log in, you can find it, and you can listen to it. And it works both ways. If you are in any of those places, across the African continent, Western Europe, throughout Southeast Asia, South America, you can log on, you can hear us as well. So if you've never done this for me before, I know where Mike is, I know where Donna and Randall are, and that's awesome. I got You old hat, folks, I got you memorized by now. But that said, if you're new to the program, just drop in a hello. Let us know where you are. Be nice to hear from you. And know that you are always, always welcome here. We did have if you were with us for our weeknight program last Thursday, you'll know that I had a gentleman, and I'll say that because he certainly wasn't rude in any way. He wasn't offensive or violent or any of those kind of things, but certainly someone who was taking us in on YouTube who certainly didn't agree with me about anything, which, by the way, is fine. Don't see him here yet today, but I hope that he is, and I hope that anybody that's out there new listening will say hello, drop in a hi where you're listening, and that's about that. Phones will be the old-fashioned way as normal. You can ring in, hold the old gal up to the 9th district. I figured it was the 9th eventually, because I'm in the 7th. The 8th is directly north of me, so northwest would make it the 9th, because you count in Pennsylvania, you count from east to west, from south to north. First district is in the Philadelphia area, so let me work your way up. Finally figured that out. And she's only been in the 9th district her whole life, but it only took me till now to remember what number it is. But anyway, a happy 29th birthday to Amanda Goldman, especially if she's not. She'll like that one if she is. Happy 29th. With her adult kids. Happy 29th to Amanda. So yeah, wherever you might be, just drop in and let us know where you are. What was I going to say? I think I got that covered. Oh, phones, old-fashioned way. We'll open them up a little later in the program. And that's basically it. We are expecting Amanda, by the way, to join the program, not tonight. She's taking a night off from the campaign trail to spend time with her family, enjoy her birthday, as she should, by the way. And to be honest, she didn't take a whole day from the campaign trail either. She was campaigning all day, but she was taking an evening away from the campaign trail, have dinner with the family, enjoy her birthday. But she will be joining us as we continue on into the campaign cycle. Let me also remind all of you straight from the top as well, if you've been to our group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information, you should know what it is by now. That Other Side of Information, you will see a post there that is pinned to the top to remind you all, followers, people who are members of the group, if you want to disseminate that post, feel free. Any candidate from either of the major parties, I'm not branching out into third parties. I'm not doing that. This damn election is entirely too important to F around, so we're not doing that. I'm not playing the third party game with anyone. I'm not wasting time on it. I think third parties are great. I think, the United States would do well to see if we couldn't expand the number of parties in this country. There are elements, while I think neither system is pure and without fault, and even the framers said to form a more perfect union, we do not have a parliamentary system in this country. I don't think we will ever have a parliamentary system in this country. Simply, if for no other reason than that's not the way the Constitution is set up. But I do think more parties would be healthy in this country. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But this particular cycle, 2024, we're not playing that game. So my invitation is open, but has conditions. If you are a candidate from either of the two major political parties, then again, we all know that there's only really one party left that operates and functions in any normal fashion. Remaining is the Democratic Party, but Democratic candidates, Republican candidates for state level, statewide, federal office from anywhere in the country in this cycle, you are welcome here. We'd love to talk to you. They don't have to be 3-hour-long interviews on Sundays. Do 15, 20 minutes with us on a weeknight. Do 15, 20 minutes with us here, to half hour, whatever you are capable of from a time standpoint. Keep the video after, use it however you wish. You are welcome here. To all of our followers, subscribers, members of the Facebook group, everybody who is within the sound of my voice. Considering it's the internet, that means the entire planet. If you have a campaign that you're working on somewhere, anywhere across the country, you are welcome to bring your candidate here, do an interview. We invite you. You are welcome. Don't have to be a Democrat either. You don't have to agree with me. We don't have to agree on anything. But if you're a candidate that wants to have a civil, constructive conversation, even if we disagree about everything, if you want a respectful, civil debate and conversation, you're welcome here. We invite you. It's nice and simple. Contact me, find us, and contact me, and you're welcome here. Let's get to some of the big stories of the weekend, some of which that are. I missed a whole bunch of messages there, didn't I? Let's get to some of the bigger. Interesting. Speaking of inviting folks, I got an interesting message request that just popped in front of me from someone I don't know, which is, that happens a lot. It takes me back a little bit when it happens, but not a problem. Let's get through some of the big stories of the weekend so far. If you looked at the header for the program, you know that basically I had two big topics. And that is the reverberations of the school shooting in Georgia continue to reverberate throughout the country. I told you on the weeknight program last week, the shooting took place on a Wednesday. That I thought by now it would be a bit of a dead story. I'm not wrong, but I'm getting toward right. It is fading as a story, as I predicted it would. And I don't say that to be to show off by any means. I'm not that smart, to be honest. But I knew it would fade away. And it is beginning to do exactly that. We are now into the stories of memorials, funeral services, what ifs. And of course, Tuesday is the presidential debate, what I believe will be the only presidential debate. So that is exceptionally important. It will be in Philadelphia. We'll get to that in a second. But the shooting is starting to wear away, sadly. And it will does appear. Well, first off, I should say this. I completely understand why the story is fading away. I do. Life continues. For the families of the dead and wounded, life will never be the same. Never, ever, ever, ever be the same. And I can certainly understand why, and I can certainly make a case it really should never be the same. That it should not be the same. That said, I have to say that it's my belief, unfortunately, that the Republicans, the gun fetishists, the NRA, they've all won again, because we have made it through the news cycle, if you will, of this story, and nothing meaningful has come from it. No meaningful weapons protections through legislation, no new, I would actually say even no new outrage, no new commitments to weapons protections, no additional Republicans have finally seen the light that our children are not target practice, regardless of who the shooter is, by the way, whether it is another student or an adult, that our students are not chop meat. They're not targets. They're not game to be hunted. And they've ridden it out again. And this will only continue to fade as a story, as an issue, until the next one, until the next mass shooting. This will fade away. And I mean, it's frustrating. And it's sad. Properly sad. But here we are. You know, I very often sarcastically will say, you know, when I'm on the phone with a healthcare provider, a doctor's office, scheduling an appointment, something like that, and the scheduler, the nurse, whomever it is that I'm speaking with at the time, will say, and how would you wish to pay for that? Or what's your insurance? Or, you know, well, this medicine will completely take care of what ails you. Yeah, but you can't qualify for that because coverage isn't high enough. Or what? And I generally refer to them in reply to them back in an exceptionally sarcastic, well, God bless America. Excuse me. Apologies. Tickle in there somewhere. And this school shooting is exactly the same thing. It is a God bless America moment, if you will, where the right wing has ridden out another all too brief string of outrage. No solutions implemented, no new legislation passed, no new self-identified Republicans finally seeing the light. Shockingly little protest in the streets or activism, even from the families in Barrow County, Georgia. It's just going to fade away. They'll bury the 4 dead. The 9 wounded will eventually heal. And it will disappear. And the right wing wins again. Or at least wins the day. They've ridden another one out. Thoughts and prayers. Now is not the time to talk about this. And away it goes. It brings me to an article from the Associated Press. Jeff Amy seems to have been the primary author of stories about this school shooting. My guess is that he's been dispatched by the AP to stay in Barrow County. His writing's been solid. I'm not a writer. Maybe I shouldn't be judging anybody's writing because I'm not really a writer. I've written political lit, but I don't write news articles. And apologies for me taking in so much water. I have cotton mouth. I am completely parched. I have no idea. I had a very salty dinner. I think that's what's doing it. And by salty, I don't mean sarcastic, and I don't mean pirates. I mean just what I ate had a hell of a lot of salt in it, and I think I'm just drained a little bit. But that said, from the Associated Press, dated today, Dateline Atlanta. Article's author is Jeff Amy. Headline: Mother's warning to Georgia school about suspect raises questions about moments before shooting. Again, Dateline Atlanta. The article's author is Jeff Amy, and this is the Associated Press. The mother of a student in class with a boy accused of killing 4 people in a Georgia high school shooting says information that school officials were warned that the boy was having a crisis shows the shooting could have been prevented. Quote, the school failed them, that they could have prevented these deaths, and they didn't. Rebecca Syreth said, and I maybe not saying her name correctly, apologies to the gentle lady if I'm not. Sayarath, Syreth. I'm really butchering the crap out of it. Apologies. Not always great with the names. She said Sunday in a telephone interview with the Associated Press, quote, I truly, truly feel that way. Syreth's daughter, Layla, told reporters Wednesday, the day of the shooting, at Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia, that administrators appeared to be looking for Colt Gray, a 14-year-old who had been charged with 4 counts of murder before the gunfire began. Others, though, are declining to blame school or law enforcement officials. Quote, I'm not going to referee or second-guess what happened with the authorities the other night, unquote, U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock, a Georgia Democrat, said on CNN's State of the Union on Sunday, quote, I applaud our first responders. When others are running away from danger, they run toward the danger in order to do the best they can. Officials say Gray shot and killed students Christian Angelou and Mason Schemerhorn, both 14, and teachers Richard Aspinwall, 39, and Christina Irimi, 53. 8 other students and a teacher were injured. 7 of them shot and are expected to recover. And I really do think that you're going to see, I just think you're going to see this fade away. I just do. And it's a shame that that's going to happen. There are so many things, so many issues, so many policies, so many debates in this country where I could very, very simply say, where's the outrage? And I have to, when you take all of the Reagan era tax cuts, income, capital gains, incentives for shipping jobs overseas, the 60,000 plus factories that have left this country in the Reagan era, the offshoring, the legalization of the offshoring of money. I mean, you're looking at probably $100 trillion in wealth that has been extracted, removed, redirected from the bottom 99% to the top 1%. It is wealth distribution on a scale that heretofore no society could have ever fathomed. Where is the outrage there? 100, I forget how many mass shootings we said there's been already in this country so far this year. Almost 130 people killed. Where is the outrage? Even on my side of the aisle, just a couple of weeks ago, Senator Bob Menendez found guilty on all the felony charges that he had been charged with, being a foreign agent, for the Egyptian government, for taking money and bribes, and why he's not in prison yet, I find to be an absolute, it just proves that there are multiple layers of justice in this country. Bob Menendez was a 16-year-old black kid with pot in his pocket. He'd have been sentenced to life by now. Where is the outrage? And this is we have a 24-hour cable quote unquote news network that's admitted in open court that it lies for a living, that it is not news, even though news is in their name, that it's not news, they're entertainment, and that their own viewers are foolish for listening to them and believing what they say. Said that in court, under oath, under threat of perjury. Where is the outrage? We have so many things that as Americans, as humans, we really need to look in the mirror and ask ourselves some serious questions. Who exactly are we as a society, as a people? Who are we? What do we want? What is important to us? Where do we want to see better? It's just, I don't know. Because I know what I believe the answers to be, and that doesn't make me right. But I know I do have the outrage. But where's the collective outrage? And it does seem to me, actually, I can even extend that, maybe even make it a bit more simplistic, in that a very solid, rabid, cult-following minority of people have taken the entire system hostage so that none of these things, none of the solutions to any of these issues ever see the light of day. There's a few thousand billionaires in this country. They're running everything. A national healthcare system, higher taxes on the wealthiest and the largest corporations, common sense weapons safety protection legislation, investment in public schools, elimination of student debt, elimination of medical debt, the elimination of the electoral college. Careful and considered reductions in defense spending so that that money could be used other places in our society. These are all issues that have, at a minimum, a majority of support in this country. Every poll will tell you that. Some of them have popularity or approvals in the 90s percentile, and yet none of it becomes law. The framers built in protections for the minority, but never intended the minority to rule. Period. Your outrage as an American public, and I'm not limiting it to the citizenry. If you live here, you deserve a say. Your outrage as a citizenry stopped the repeal of the Affordable Care Act in 2017. It stopped it. It ended the Muslim ban. It made vaccines a reality. We can accomplish things when we come together, when we stand together. It is not selfish. It is not motivated self-interest when that interest is the interest of the majority. Then it becomes exactly that, the interest of the majority. And sadly, I believe that this This gun issue is exactly that. That's good timing. He's a pro. That's good timing. That's a United. Oh, it's Miami. Ah, you bandwagon. Oh,
Well,
my God.
wherever-
You bandwagoner.
Wherever Messi goes,
Stop it.
you bet.
Stop it. Don't make me go get my Red Bulls.
I
Do
hear
the
you.
all red. I can do the all red or the all black. I can make that happen in about 60 seconds.
Look, well, looky here. I hear you're a Man United fan. Yeah, that sigh is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
It's definitely felt.
Easy, George. Stop it. Like giggling back there. Yeah, they're right there. The thing is, it's only been. Wait, how long has it been since he retired? I think 12 years.
Ferguson,
Sir Alex retired. But the funny thing is, it only feels like 120.
I bet it does. I bet it does.
Your entry here gives me a really good break. I'm a little late to reset the program anyway, so let me do a quick reset. This is the Kennedy Effect live with you for the 8th of September 2024. We are less than 2 months away from the end of the 2024 election cycle. It is not too late for you, and all of you to make sure, please, that you are registered to vote, have a plan for voting. So I think something's gone wrong with George's camera. I might have to shut it off. Scouser hat, my God, that's wow. That's hurtful. That's hurtful from a friend.
Is that a Liverpool hat?
That's a Scouser hat. Yeah, that hurts. That hurts me. It hurts me at my heart, to be honest with you. It really hurts me. I think I'm having a heart attack. Small crisis over here. It is not too late for you. Please make sure that you are registered to vote. Go to your county's website or your state Department of State's website. Find out if you're registered. Apply for a mail-in ballot if you choose to do so. Find out where your polling place is. We're less than 2 months from the end of this cycle. Make sure that you have a plan to vote. We are live right now on my Facebook page, Jeff Kennedy. We are live on our home group Facebook page for all things surrounding the Kennedy Effect. That is, of course, That Other Side of Information on Facebook. Same name for our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. If you ever miss any of our programs or can't stick with us for the entirety of the program, the best place to go is our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. We are live right now on Twitch. Jeff R. Kennedy is the name. We are live on my LinkedIn page as well, which is also Jeff Kennedy. The audio of the program blasting out around the world. Above it, below it, and on it on GCPR.live, the Ghost Claw Productions Radio.live. Go to our website, find our schedule, read about the other hosts, read about the shows, find out when you should be tuning in and when you can catch your favorite shows. GCPR.live, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, where every voice matters. We are also live on one of the foundational cornerstones of global internet radio, the first global internet radio station to give this young guy, he says funny, not so much, give this guy a chance, and that is hot101.net. Our name is our web address. It is hot101.net, but you don't need the web address to listen. You can use our apps. Apple App Store for Apple devices, Google Play Store for Android devices, and the TuneIn radio app. Go up to the search bar, type in hot101.net, and you will be listening. Tell Alexa to play hot101.net. No registration needed for your apps, no credit card, no sign-in, no password. Download it, tap it, it opens, and you're listening. And there is plenty of time, plenty of hours in a week to listen to both 101 and GCPR. We are live on the TCP Media Group on Facebook. We've shared the program to Randall City added, I forget how many, so we're at 120 something places across Facebook, with more to come after I get past the minor block. Somewhere after 7 o'clock we'll be able to share to the rest of the places that we normally share to. We're welcoming in friend of the show, certainly the least way low on his list of accomplishments, friends of these two guys right here, and friend of the show, certainly way down in small print especially given his very questionable football allegiances, but we can deal with that another day. Which does remind me, though, by the way, after the election cycle is over, we're going to try to spend as much time on the program doing some other things. We'll talk football a couple shows, and I mean real football, the football you play with your feet. I know Cole can agree with me on that. Not American football, but the actual real football, the ball that you kick with your feet. So they call it that in the first place. Probably spend a show or two on that. We're going to deal with trying to do some mental health shows. We're going to kind of try to just step away from politics for a little bit after this election cycle is done, take a breath, and then, of course, we'll get right back into it after the new year. So we welcome in Cole Goodman. Cole, welcome back to the program. How are you, mate?
Oh, man, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Appreciate being on here, and I'm really excited for the discussion. And just to clarify something you said, yep, I may be a bandwagon Inter Miami fan, but I am, since 2001, a Real Madrid fan. The reigning champions, I will just put out there. Right, yeah.
Well, it seems to be something that they just do at the end of every year, isn't it?
We breathe it.
I mean,
We
when is the last time that Real didn't make even the quarterfinals of the Champions League? I can't even remember, to be honest.
I can't remember it. I think it's definitely before.
I mean, you basically pencil them into the semis.
Definitely.
Just about every season. You know, they might.
Yeah.
I think they've won the Champions League. Well, even before its current form, even when it was still the old European Cup and the Champions Cup or Champions of Champions Cup, or I forget the right term for that was, but 22, I think it is.
Yeah, 22, 23.
22, something like that. European champions, yeah. So
and you know, I know that Jeff, you know how it feels as a Man United fan to win the Champions League repeatedly, and George, well,
no, he knows too. I also know what it's like to drink myself stupid after winning the Champions League and really paying for it the next day. For celebrating.
I'm not a Liverpool's fan. I got that from my friend Sean. So
he's just rubbing it in. He's just rubbing it in.
I am.
After 3-0
shout out to your friend Sean.
After a 3-0 drubbing, a week ago at the hands of Liverpool at Old Trafford, by the way. And by the way, did you happen to catch any of the U.S. men's national team yesterday? Speaking of thorough drubbings,
I did, and let me just say,
thoroughly outclassed by Canada. Absolutely outclassed,
outpossessed, and it didn't even look like we wanted it. They just wanted it more, and that's the mentality Jesse Marsch brings as a coach. He's just that level of intensity. He's brought it to Canada, and think about this going forward. Now Canada's a real player in qualifications, and that is going.
I would say at the current state of the men's national team, and it's unfair to put any blame at the foot of Mauricio Pochettino. That was the first match in which he was in charge. But
he wasn't in charge. Actually,
oh, he wasn't even there for that one.
No, he didn't man that match. No,
heaven forbid. He's already been hired. Why would he man the match? That said, the U.S., Canada, and Mexico are automatically qualified as co-hosts of the next World Cup.
Yep.
If we did have to actually qualify, though, I'd be concerned.
Yep.
I'd be really worried.
Really worried.
Because every time another young generation who has grown up together through the system graduates to the as we say in the sport, graduates to the senior national team, and it's going to be great, golden generation. How many times have we heard that? They all played together since the time they were at single digits in ages on these traveling teams and all-star teams. They all know each other, and just nothing comes of it. I mean, nothing comes of it.
Right, nothing. And then you add Canada, the way they're looking, and add Alphonso Davies to that. And we're seeing more Canadian players, Tejan Buchanan playing at Inter Milan, and obviously Alphonso's overseas and a few more.
Yep.
This is going to be a very interesting Canada team coming into the World Cup. I'm really excited. But yeah, our team, that was really disheartening.
And I'll root for. I hope they go far. I can't always root for Mexico. I just can't. They're a dirty bunch. But
Never.
I'd love to see. I hope they make a run. I hope Canada makes a run. I thought Canada would do better in the Copa America this past summer. That was disappointing to see they didn't accomplish more there. But then again, neither did the U.S. But
I was about to say, and they went farther than us, and I
yeah,
think they were ready for the physicality of the Copa, and I don't think the U.S. was very ready for what Copa means to these South American countries. It's life, it's food, it's
yeah.
air.
But
So
I happened to see Maurizio Pochettino is no slouch as a manager. He has a proven
absolutely,
international record. He's won titles in France. He was, in my, I wouldn't say he's made Tottenham into what they are, but he's certain. I think that really started with Martin Yule and Harry Redknapp, to be honest. But certainly elevated them. They played in a Champions League final. I mean, certainly moved them to a new level. I think he'll do a fantastic job. I truly do. But boy, Jesse Marsh is an American
I know.
who's been and yet continues to receive absolutely no uh, consideration to manage our own home side. I don't understand.
Yeah,
I had some pretty critical things to say about the U.S. Federation, all of which I think are spot on, to be honest. But maybe it's his frankness or whatever. Honesty doesn't always make you a lot of friends, unfortunately. But yeah, he's sitting right there, and we've passed over him. Gosh, probably 3 or 4 different times now.
yeah, I completely agree, and I think it goes to the point also of now we have a coach that the U.S. Federation can't turn to and say we know more than you.
Yeah,
Uh, and I think
you would
the
think.
fact
Yeah.
you would think, and the fact that they did that with Jurgen Klinsmann is wild.
Yes.
But Pochettino, I think this is a whole new era. I'm super excited to see what he does with the team, and I hope he can also draw out some new U.S. players that maybe are getting overlooked that will give us that edge at the international level. So, yeah, super excited to see what he does with the team.
Before you came in, we were talking about the school shooting in Georgia um, from last week, and that it would appear to me. I'm sure if I lived in Barrow County, I might have a completely different opinion because it's in my quote unquote backyard. Um, but certainly from a distance, geographic distance, it appears to be the same old cycle of the mass school shooting in the United States, which, by the way, is a purely American phenomenon. There is shock the day of the shooting. There's grief, anger, outrage in the hours and day following. Maybe the second later on the first day into the second day, there is the questions. There's the looking in the mirror of what can we do to stop this? Why haven't we yet stopped this? Where were the police, et cetera, et cetera? And then the reaction from the gun fetishists and the right turns into now is not the time for this. We have grieving parents, we have dead children, thoughts and prayers. And oh, by the way, if we do have a solution, I would say the solution is more guns and more guns and more guns. We have 4% of the world's population and 24% of its privately owned firearms. Am I wrong? Or do you see the same old? Because now the story is beginning to fade away.
Yeah.
Now, partially, I think, understandably, because we have a presidential debate coming Tuesday, and that's a BFD. It's a big deal, and it should dominate some headlines. But we're seeing the shooting now fade to the background. It seems to me that it's the same old. Do you feel the same way?
I absolutely feel the same way. You're absolutely right about the outrage hours after the shooting of everyone feels, and I would hope everyone feels a collective outrage. And then we get into all of the politicians sharing the thoughts and prayers that we have thoughts and prayers for the family. But then we always get the thoughts and prayers, but we never get any substantial legislation to deal with the issue. Uh, I was sitting with a friend when I found out about this shooting, and every time a shooting like that pops up on my phone, I'm just affected. Like, it affects my mind. It affects the rest of my week because I'm thinking about those families and how they haven't and past families haven't seen any solution based action. Uh, but I was sitting with a friend and he saw it come across his phone, and I witnessed the sensitivation. You know what I'm trying to say? How desensitized a lot of our society is because this cycle has played so much, and that is very worrying. That we are living in a society where we're having kids, teachers, sisters, brothers gunned down in school where they're supposed to be learning and nurturing and feel safe, and the country now, many in the country are like, it's just another day in America. And if that's the route we're going down and keep going down, we're in big trouble. Big trouble.
I asked a very rhetorical question, but I'll ask it to you as a more of a formal question. I mean, obviously, until we come up with something better in the English language, the only way you get an answer is to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the outrage? I find that I rattled off a good number of probably a half dozen different issues. $100 trillion in wealth redistributed, extracted, given to the top 1%. Women no longer allowed to make decisions about how their own body functions or what they choose to do with it. School buildings that are crumbling, still filled with lead and asbestos. 60,000 factories shifted overseas, not jobs, factories shifted overseas. $1.5 trillion in defense spending while veterans are homeless and starve. Where is the outrage for such things? Is it drowned out by the 24-hour news cycle? It was outrage that stopped the repeal of the Affordable Care Act in 2017. Even when Republicans said full control of the federal government, complete full control. Both houses of Congress bought and paid for Supreme Court and Trump in the White House, and they still couldn't get it done because of our collective as a society, and not just Democratic, but across the board, Republicans who stood up and said, "You're not taking my health care from me." Outrage saved the day. Where is the outrage for so many of these different things? When do we finally get so outraged and maybe even come to the real? Our children are game. They're being hunted like game. It is the leading cause of death for school kids now, is to get shot in their own school. Where's the real genuine outrage? I didn't see protests in the streets in Barrow County or anywhere after this shooting. Nowhere.
That's a heavy and deep question.
It's what we like to do here.
I've been thinking the same thing for
Right.
years.
After Parkland and Sandy Hook, there were
Yes.
peaceful demonstrative marches across the country. Folks filled Times Square. 100,000 people filled Times Square. They walked down the Miracle Mile in Chicago. They walked through South Beach in Miami. None of that happened this week.
Because I would also add it. I feel it's hard for many to feel outrage when they don't see any tangible or any whether it be legislation or any solution based solutions passed. I mean, it's very. I've talked with some people who have just been like, it's just going to keep going until we get people into these seats in a super majority form that actually have a heart to do something about it and don't just think about the electoral box or getting reelected. So, uh, but that question is very needs to be asked of everybody in the country. So, yeah. Ooh,
Oh, I think it's a very American question. I mean,
yeah, it is.
we didn't we didn't even see just hordes of parents out in the street. Take the political affiliation out of it. We didn't see thousands of parents out in the street saying enough already.
Because they don't believe it can happen to their kids. And we've become such a me society, me. If it affects me, if it impacts me, we've lost our sense of community. And I would pose that question too. How are we going to get that back?
You coach kids in football. You're around young people every day.
Yes.
Do you talk about it with them? Or
Yes.
do you try to stick to just leave football to be the escape, or do we have to talk reality with our kids?
I have most certainly asked them about what does it feel like to have to do drills to survive in school. Um, that question has most certainly been asked. And for some, it's just become what is, which is very sad in itself. And uh, others have of our my kids have told me that it's scary and it's in the back of their mind all the time. What if I had to do this for real? And where's the out, as you said, where's the outrage? And put that as a banner tonight. Where's the outrage from parents that your kids feel this way? And this is going through their mind. Where is the outrage?
Well, I don't want to violate any trust that you have with your kids, and don't answer anything that might be out of turn. But I mean, when you go to practice with them on a Wednesday night, or last Wednesday night, last Thursday night, I mean, do any of them approach you and say, hey, I'm scared? Or have they adjusted to the point, like you said, that it's just like, oh yeah, well, because my fear is, I think even that our kids have adjusted.
Mm.
They've gotten to, oh yeah, well, it's just what we do. The same way that you and I had fire drills when I was a
Yeah.
kid. I'm old enough, and George probably had a few. We think we had some duck and covers in the 80s when everybody thought Reagan was going to vaporize the planet. We had a few duck and covers, but we used to have fire drills too. I rode a bus. We'd have safety drills for the bus in case the bus rolled over or the bus got on fire, or how to get out of the windows of the bus, things like that. It was just part of it.
Right.
Have you had any of your kids express fear to you, or do they just sort of roll with it and yeah, well, we had a drill and okay.
Majority roll with it. Majority roll with it. That it's become a norm of we have to do this because of the place that our country and society is in. We have to do this because this could happen. And breaks my heart. Really does. Breaks my heart that a kid will look at me as a coach and say, "This is my norm now." As you said, I have to I have to cover in a classroom because I could be game for someone at any point in time. Uh, so sadly, to answer your question, I would say it's starting to seep in to a cycle, normality cycle of we like a fire drill. We just have to
Yeah,
do
right.
these drills. So
Do you find any consolation that the parents or the father specifically of the shooter was arrested?
Hmm.
I'm kind of mixed about it. I do think there is parental responsibility, especially if especially if our brothers and sisters on the right are going to continue to try to talk about personal responsibility, all the while trying to undermine it and take it away, um, but and replace it with governmental responsibility, which is anathema to what the Republican Party was built on. But that's a topic for a different day. There is some parental responsibility here, but does it cause any consolation? I'm mixed about it. I feel it's sad, but I guess there does have to be something to it. If the child steals your car and kills somebody with, parents are responsible. But should they not be the same or hold some responsibility if a gun is taken from the house as well? But I don't know that I particularly feel good about it either.
That would be my question. Where would the line be? How, at what point would said parent be held responsible in a criminal sense? Would it be if the parent just handed the kid the gun? Would it be if if a parent is sleeping and the kid, or let me put it this, a parent that works nights comes home during the day sleeping so they can get up and work again, and your kid, sneaks into your room, takes your gun, and commits this atrocity? Should that parent be arrested? My answer to that is I don't know. That is a very good question. But my main point would probably be like we would have to find where the line is, of crossing into this parent needs to be held criminally responsible.
Uh, the gentleman who hosts his program on GCPR weeknights after hours, T. Nathan, popped on the program on Wednesday, the day of the shooting itself, and I certainly this is a question that I asked of him. I know what his answer is, um, but I'd like to know what you think. What does it say about the two sides of this issue that the right and the gun fetishists and those owned and operated by the NRA, their so-called issue solutions, policy solutions, always revert to more? We need metal detectors at schools. Well, that's great for the industry that builds metal detectors. We need more resource officers at school, which means armed paramilitary cops, or at least retired cops or retired military. We need to arm teachers. It's always more. It's more of everything that is the problem in the first place. The only thing where they do not want more is healthcare and mental health care. Whereas the people who are not fetishized by guns and there are plenty of Democratic gun owners, by the way, folks. I know I'm talking to some of them now, but still, 90+% of NRA members support expanded background checks, red flag laws, and safe storage laws. So the other side, the weapons safety protection side of things, where I find myself, and I believe you are as well, it's about exactly that, protections and safety. Not necessarily less of anything, but protections and safety. But the other side always wants more. We want more of this and more of this and more of this. What does that say about the two sides? I know what I think it says, money and profits, but what does it say to you?
Mm. I would also lean towards the money and profits as well. Um, it also says to me that there's a lack of understanding of not only the people you represent, but all the American people. As you said, like 90% of NRA members support this. But their organization is run by the feral and the rabid, and as you said, the gun fetishers. And that is who, especially on this issue, we are at war with. um I want to hit another point that you said. When you arm teachers, in my opinion, that is when we are going to see more issues. Um, I know back in my day, I know I'm still a little, I can't believe I pulled that phrase, but back,
Join a
back,
club.
yeah, back in my day, I
Get
know
off my lawn.
right. I know that I had some teachers that I would really, really not want to have a gun, because they're human and we appreciate everything that our teachers do and deal with. But arming teachers, I think, would be a step too far and a bad idea. But that they're always the party, or the right of more guns, more. We need more millionaires and billionaires in this country instead of helping our poor and helping people who are living paycheck to paycheck. Like it's always more, and there's never stratagem. There's never how can we. Some issues are nuanced and need a touch of thinking, instead of just plastering into the more mindset and mantra. So yeah, that's how I see it. But I think you're right too, Jeff, with money and profits. That one's obvious. That one's very, very obvious.
7:08 Eastern Time. We've entered the second hour of the Kennedy Effect live with you for Sunday, September the 8th, 2024. We are live right now on my personal Facebook page, Jeff Kennedy. We are live on our Facebook home group page for all things surrounding the program, That Other Side of Information. We are live on our YouTube channel, which is also called That Other Side of Information. Always the best place to go if you need to catch up on anything or if you've missed any part of the program. YouTube.com/That Other Side of Information. We are live on my Twitch channel right now, Jeff R. Kennedy. Live on our LinkedIn, which is Jeff Kennedy as well. We welcome, encourage, solicit, etc., your questions, your comments. Later in the program, we will attempt to take phone calls as well. The audio of the program, of course, is blasting around the world. I almost said around the country. Well, I guess around the country too, but around the globe on GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio .live, GCPR.live. Plug in GCPR.live, plug in Ghost Claw Productions Radio, plug in my name, The Kennedy Effect, The Villain's View, anything into a search engine of your choice. I continue to recommend DuckDuckGo because they don't trace your search history. And you will find us. You will find our shows, our schedule, find out about our programs, our other hosts. You'll find everything about the radio station. Check it out. Become a regular listener. Share it to everyone that you know. We are also live on one of the originators of global internet radio and the first station to give this guy a chance, for which I will be humbly grateful for the rest of my broadcasting career, and that is hot101.net. Hot101.net. Our name is our web address. You can listen on desktops, laptops, phones, tablets, Bluetooth it to headphones, earbuds, speakers. Tell Alexa to play hot101.net, but you don't need the website to listen. You can use our apps, Apple App Store, Google Play Store for Android, and the TuneIn Radio app. We are live also on the TCP Media Group right now on Facebook as well. And again, we will try to take your comments and questions. Excuse me, I'm sorry. We'll try to take your phone calls. We always take your comments and questions on the chat. I'm pointing to the right side of my screen as if you somehow know what the hell I'm pointing at. When I'm pointing to the right side of my screen, the chat section here, we will continue to take your comments and questions throughout the program. Cole Goodman is our guest. You may have noticed if you are watching live that
What up?
that George had to leave us. Life happens. It is a Sunday evening. Has some things at home to take care of. Might be back before we leave the air, but had to step away. No worries. He's fine. Everybody's okay. Just had some personal things to take care of at the house. Lawrence says that he's listening on Our Revolution Signal Boost on Facebook from Chicago. Hello, Lawrence, and thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad that I noticed that. I try to keep up with the comments as much as I possibly can. I should have been allowed to finish sharing. Facebook has stopped me yet again. We'll try again in another hour or so. We have shared the program to 133 places so far. Before I get into the debate with Cole, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, sir, if I share some news. As I do the top of the hour and bottom of the hour reset and let the folks know everywhere that they can find the program, there's a little news about you I wouldn't mind sharing if it's okay. And that is you will be joining the GCPR family at some point here with your own program. While there is no solid date yet, I try to remind people that we are human beings. We have lives. We have jobs outside of this. You don't just buy a 5,000 computer, plop it in front of you, and start broadcasting. Sometimes you need to save and do some smart shopping and things like that. So even with that taken into account, I don't think we have a solid date as of yet, but you will be joining the GCPR family with your own show as well. Tell people whatever you wish to tell them about it. I know it's a little bit vague at the moment. We don't exactly have a date and time quite set, but you will be coming.
Yes, 100%. I'm super excited. It's going to be great. I'm going to keep most of it under wraps here, but I will say that my show, and I will say our show, because the show's for everybody, will be focused around two things that I know that everyone loves talking about. One, politics and the current events of the day, and two, football. Goal! So we're going to talk about football and how that also intersects into politics and how that can change communities around the world. So super excited, and it's going to be a great show. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
We are thrilled, as everybody probably should know by now, and if you don't, I will very briefly explain it. Thomas Bishop and I are the lead partners at GCPR.live. We own the station, and one of the things that we have set out to do is to bring you as many and as varied voices, hosts on our air as humanly possible. There are white, black, trans, male, female, young, old. It's all there already. We have shows that are politically based. We have shows that talk about professional wrestling, science fiction, and George, of course, is the co-host of literally a computer call-in help desk show. When you work in an office and your computer goes, what do? You call IT, right? You call the help desk. George is the co-host of the help desk. We try to have as varied and wide a variety of programming as possible. Everything seems to always come back to politics at some point. So Cole will be covering that. The strength of the program is that as close as Cole and I are, which I am honored by, and believe me, all his lists of accomplishments, that is way on the bottom, being my friend, I can guarantee.
No, it's very on the top.
And it's in really small print, and I think it's in the ancient Gaelic. But that said, he didn't grow up like me. We don't look alike. We may have extremely similar points of view, and even those are not universal. Cole and I have met at state committee meetings and say, he's got big button on for this one, I'm supporting this one, and I got a big button on for the other one.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's never personal. So we're not in lockstep 100% of the time, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and saying it poorly. But even though we do agree on so many different things, he grew up completely different than me. First off, he's half my age, but we grew up completely differently. So even though we might arrive at the same endpoint, we get there through different paths and different roads. And that variety is always there. We hope that you'll enjoy the program. We hope that you'll be there when he debuts. Apologies that I can't give you a debut date as well, but as I said, Cole works for a living. He doesn't have all the equipment quite set up yet. Hell, as you've been paying attention to me for 3 weeks, my equipment doesn't work half the time either, and I don't have money for that either. So, but we're getting there. I think it's exciting that we're offering you yet another voice to bring to you at GCPR. Let me get into the debate. We as a Commonwealth are hosting the debate on Tuesday. I lost where it was going. I had the article up from the Associated Press, written by Mark Levy. Dateline today. Dateline Harrisburg. Headline: Little debate that Pennsylvania is key as Harris and Trump prep for Philly showdown. Cole hasn't been here for this fun part. This is where I get to go back into my past and put on my news presenter hat and pretend, do my best,
Newscast.
Lego hair newscaster kind of thing. Dateline Harrisburg. When Donald Trump and Kamala Harris meet on stage Tuesday night in Philadelphia, they'll both know there's little debate that Pennsylvania is critical to their chances of winning the presidency. The most populous presidential swing state has sided with the winner of the past 2 elections, each time by just tens of thousands of votes. Polling this year suggests Pennsylvania will be close once more in November. A loss in the state will make it difficult to make up the electoral votes elsewhere to win the presidency. Trump and Harris have been frequent visitors in recent days. Harris plans to return Friday, and the former president was speaking in Butler County on July 14 when he was the target of an assassination attempt. The stakes may be especially high for Harris. No Democrat has won the White House without Pennsylvania since 1948. How big is this on Tuesday?
I think it is huge. I think it's huge. She not to quote the Orange Man himself. It's huge. It's huge. But I think it's really, really, really big. Especially for Vice President Harris. The country knows with Donald Trump, even though sometimes he's unpredictable. What you see is what you get. We know what we get with him. We know the disaster that we get with him. Um, a lot of, especially young people I've talked to, have said, we don't really know Kamala Harris. We don't really know Vice President Harris. We don't know a lot about her. Like, maybe I would argue she's not, yeah, even as vice president, as known as an entity. I think she did a very good job at the convention in introducing herself to that audience that was listening. But let's be honest. Usually, people who tune into conventions we already know who we're voting for. This debate, you're gonna have everyone tuning in, even if it is just out of curiosity, and that's what she needs. And I think that's what's gonna happen. And she's doing what she has to do. She's debate prepping, has hunkered down in the great city of Pittsburgh, and is debate prepping. And Trump said that, oh, I don't need to prepare for a debate. I know what I have to do. So we're going to see if he's going to be able to keep on par with Vice President Harris, because she is a very effective communicator. I will definitely give her that.
I would actually argue he's right. He doesn't have to prepare.
He doesn't have to
you
prepare.
have no platform to expound upon, and you certainly have no record that you can really run on that's popular by any stretch. And we know his default position is to lie about everything anyway, and just to make up whatever pops up into his head. I mean, after all, childcare is childcare. He doesn't have to prepare for that. I don't have to prepare to spin a lie.
So I think you're right on that. When it comes to policy wise, you're right. He doesn't really have anything that he has to expound on because it's all vagaries and lies. But if Trump were being strategic in this election, there is a certain demographic that he has to reach to up his plateau. Of you have your base of support that is going to vote for Trump no matter what. But he does have to venture into other demographics, in my opinion, to pull it off in this election, especially against Vice President Harris. And I don't believe those demographics are looking for him to go on stage and just be an a-hole. Excuse my language. I think they really want to hear what are you bringing to the table that we talked about this earlier that will help me, and when we see a calm Trump in the first 10 minutes of his speeches, in my opinion, I think that's the most politically effective Trump, especially in the waters that he's in right now. But if he goes on that stage and starts saying that Vice President Harris only got to where she was because she did certain sex acts and being racist, homophobic, sexist, that's in my opinion where he's going to lose it, especially. So that's what I would, if I was his team, I would be tying him to a chair and prepping him not on policy, but this is how you need to act during this debate. And I know Trump, it's hard to rein him in. He's the boss. He does what he wants. But if he wants to win, I think there are necessary things that he does have to do.
You are younger than me. God bless you for it. Almost everybody is. I'm a little confounded by the youth vote in this particular cycle.
I know.
Because they wanted somebody different. You had an 81-year-old white guy and a 78-year-old white guy. And by the way, let me remind you all, folks, as I step myself out of my own question, Trump is the oldest major party nominee ever to seek the presidency in this country.
Yep.
78 plus years old. He's nearly 300 pounds. Eats nothing but McDonald's and drinks Diet Cokes all the time. Somehow age and his health has, by some real miracle, combined with a complete lack of transparency, fairness, and reporting by the media, have somehow allowed his health, or lack thereof, to be an issue. But geez, if Joe Biden shuffled across a stage, it was national news for 10 days in flip.
Right.
And Cole brings up a really interesting point, a very important point, and I've reported this to you on this program before. The total viewership of the June debate, which spurred this entire change in candidate, was the total viewership. It does not mean that this many people watched the debate from start to finish, but the aggregate total of viewers for the June debate, the what has become to be known as the the Biden disaster debate, was in upwards of 60 million people. So this is enormous. And this will be the only debate. I would be absolutely gobsmacked if there was a second one. Regardless of how it goes, if Trump cleans the floor with the vice president, I'm out on a high note. I'm not going to screw that up.
Mm-hmm.
She kicks the hell out of him. He's not walking into that lion's den again.
Right.
So I have a feeling one way or another, this is going to be the end of it. Cole, what I'm confused with from Gen Z voters, especially first-time voters, the young guest voters, is that when this race started, before either nominee was official, that generation, as a generality, because when you have this many people in a country, nothing's universal, but that these men don't have any connection to us, nor we to them. What does an 81-year-old white guy and a 78-year-old white billionaire, well, white, generally speaking, billionaire, have anything to do with us? They don't understand us. They don't know us. They haven't tried. We want a different candidate. Well, now they got a different candidate, and you've just expressed to me and the audience that they still somehow feel disaffected because they don't think they know her. Well, who the hell's fault is that at this point? You got what you wanted. You wanted a different candidate. You wanted a candidate that looked more like you, that was younger and better connected to you. That generation now has to step up. If there's something they don't know about her, it's on them.
I agree. I agree, and I think we should always encourage people and young people to do your own research and come to your own conclusions. I I will just add the point that I believe this month of September is the most important for Vice President Harris, because if she can build the momentum, especially after having such a fabulous fundraising haul in August, and having a war chest to be effective with, now we're really starting to see the vice president on social media platforms. I know I scroll my TikTok, I see a Vice President Harris ad, probably like every 12 scrolls. So
They've raised, the Harris campaign has raised, if I'm not mistaken, $850 million.
staggering, staggering.
Staggering.
Which I also think, and I'm not saying that at all, I'm not arguing majority of that came from Gen Z, but we do see with that fundraising haul, I would say an excitement towards her, and also a curiosity, and also you definitely have a lot of people who are like, this is either the continuation of our uh, country or the end. So
It's the point we've made here. This is not, there's a lot of issues in it. There's a lot of issues in this campaign, and yet there's only one. And that is, you know, whenever the actual final declared winner is declared by throughout the media, both foreign and domestic, whether that's 11 p.m. on the 5th or by 3 in the morning or whenever the heck that might come. Because I think there's a chance it won't come by midnight. My gut is I actually think she's going to win this by 3 or 5 points. I actually don't think it's going to be that close, but that's regardless. It's certainly looking that way. All the polls are that way. Of course, the media wants it to be close. It's good for viewers and clicks and so on. But that said, that we, we're going to, it'll be tight right up until that night. We have a lot to, I guess the thing I'm bothered by is whether it's money or advertising. She's been a DA, a senator, vice president for 4 years. This incredibly important group, and they are, and I'm not diminishing their importance by any means, this very important group, a group that arguably should be most vested in this election. Because especially if you're a first-time voter, are you going to continue to vote for the rest of your life? Or are you going to get this one shot? Because will November 5th be just yet another election in a series? Or will it be the last one? So if I'm a Gen Zer, and this is going to be this quite literally, depending on how this election goes, be the only time I ever get to vote in my life. We could say that there's a lot of different issues: guns, economy, jobs, education, healthcare debt, medical debt, student debt, all these things. Really, there's only one, and that is, does the nation continue as the framers intended? Does democracy survive? So then what frustrates me, and I happen to believe in my gut, that the majority of Gen Z gets that bit. They get that bit of it. That, wow, this could be it. And then, but we really don't know her, even though she's exactly what they asked for. Who the hell's fault is that then? It's not hard to be informed. It just isn't. Not smart. It might be hard to know what to believe. Because we also talked on our weeknight program more about the Russian interference that continues throughout this campaign. Tens of millions of dollars spent on fake profiles and fake groups and memes and different kind of pro-Trump propaganda, but it might be hard to know what to believe. But it's not hard to be informed. There's just too many different places to get informed.
Okay. You raised a lot of good points. So I'd like to first start with what you said earlier, where I'll actually agree to disagree with you on. Um, I think that this election is going to be extremely close because one thing that Trump has proved in 2016, 2020, and I'm sure he'll do it again, is that, like him or not, he is able to draw out votes from rural areas at an unprecedented rate. And what concerns me as a Kamala supporter is, will our, not just the cities, but will our democratic suburbs do what they need to do to get out the votes? Because it's really going to be, in my opinion, a turnout election. Who's going to turn out? And I think that's also what's going to make it close because both sides are really pushing their areas of strong suit. In battlegrounds and across the country. With Gen Z, I completely agree. It is not hard to be informed. Um, uh, you actually said it perfect. It's not hard to be informed, but it is can be hard of what to believe with things coming from all over. I will make this point. When I bring up, whether it's kids I coach or young people that I mentor in my county of Dauphin County, the election, uh, the from the Gen Z populace, the number one answer I get is, I don't care about that stuff. Yeah, I don't care about that stuff. That stuff don't affect me. That stuff don't affect me. It ain't gonna do anything with me. And I truly believe that is because we have taken civics out of the classroom. We have taken civics and learning about how taxes affect you, how decisions that state senators, that governors, that U.S. senators, presidents make affect you, how local elections are more important than national elections, how those affect you. And I have many kids who couldn't name our two senators if they tried, couldn't name our two U.S. senators because of he was on so much with COVID. All of our kids can name Tom Wolfe. I mean, everyone, but many I've met, not just Gen Zers, adults who don't know that we have a new governor. So we are really
Here's it.
lacking in importance of civics in our schools at that level. And I'm not saying it's the end all be all solution, but I do think it would help with the understanding of why getting out is so important, even if you don't know the candidate.
Well, but this was the plan of the Reagan administration. One of the very first things that Reagan did was he appointed William Bennett to be Secretary of Education. Mr. Bennett Bennett was a plant tool of billionaires and the Christian right. One of the first things that he did was to eliminate the requirement that school districts that receive federal funding teach civics, because it's very hard to complain about your government and how your government is operating if you have absolutely no understanding of how it does either.
Right. Exactly.
It is one of the very first hypocrisies that I think has grown out of the modern Republican Party, which I would put the modern, quote unquote, modern Republican Party, probably Nixon onward, is that, well, we believe in personal responsibility. We believe in personal education. We believe in local control. We believe in, keeping government as close to you as possible. Oh, by the way, we don't want to tell you how it works. just put us in charge of it and trust us, and then you don't have to worry about it. We want you to be responsible for it, but just put us in charge of it, and then you don't have to bother with it anymore. So,
Right. No.
one of the very first original hypocrisies, in my humble opinion, and that goes back to civics. If I don't understand how my government works, you know what? Probably bad analogy, probably loose analogy. It's like eating the wrong food. Like if I don't know I'm allergic to peanut butter and I scarf down a jar of peanut butter, and I don't understand why my face and throat swell up every time I eat peanut butter, I'll probably just keep eating peanut butter. Not a very clean analogy, but at least it's similar. So I know that you have to run. What do you want to let everybody know? What do you want to just throw out there? And again, I have to tell you, Cole's coming to GCPR. He's going to be joining the team here at GCPR pretty soon. So just take the floor, let out whatever you need to. You want to let out to the ether here.
I want to first thank you for allowing me to come on today. And it's always such a welcome invitation. I mean, this show's the real deal. It really is. And it has been ever since its start. So I want to thank you for all the hard work you do, Jeff. And for everyone listening out there, this is where I'm going to leave it at. Tuesday's debate. If you have a young person in your house that says they don't care about politics, they could give a rat's backside about politics. Not just kid, anyone. You grab them, you plop them on the couch, and you watch the debate together. They need to see, because I do believe the vice president will draw that contrast. They need to see how detrimental and important this election is and how many policies do affect them and do affect our communities. I mean, right by my house, we're having a bridge that has needed repair for decades get repaired because of the infrastructure bill. And that happened because we all got out and voted in 2020. So that's my call out to everyone. Grab that family member, grab that aunt, that cousin, that half brother, half sister, brother, sister, step brother. Grab them, watch the debate, and just a coworker, and make sure that they at the very least get informed by watching a debate and the contrast between these two candidates.
You know that you have an open invitation here. I invite you too much. You're busy. You're doing all sorts of stuff, but we're here 5 nights a week, Sundays 6 to 9, Monday through Thursday 8 to 9. You're going to be joining GCPR. I'm more excited than I can tell you. And get on the air, would you please?
Yes. We'll get there.
And you have an open invitation here. You are here. You are welcome to come here anytime that we are on the air. You're welcome to come here. Cole and I will also be working together so that if I have to miss a program, he will be able to sit in for me, and quite possibly vice versa, so that we can continue. When I have to miss, we don't just have dead air. I have to get a little more professional here and get somebody to fill in when I can't be here. I'm hoping it will be Cole, and he will be joining the GCPR team. We hope very soon, before the selection cycle is over. We very much hope, and then he'll be part of the team, and you need to check him out as well. So thanks for being here yet again.
Thank you. It's very good to see you.
Very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. See you later.
That's Cole Goodman. He's going to be joining the GCPR team very, very soon. I've talked to you about that. You know, the folks that are on GCPR, the folks that are on Hot 101. We have lives and jobs and such things. And this is not our full-time gig. This is not the bill-paying gig, unfortunately. So, you know, George and I fought with the computer that I'm using to talk to you right now. George and I fought with this computer for almost a month to get it better. It didn't work. We had to make it worse to make it better. I'm trying to get a new one. Cole needs new equipment to get on the air. But the point is that we're here. We hope that you'll check us out. We hope that you'll check him out when he becomes part of the GCPR team. I'm zooming in here because I'm blurry. It is 20 minutes before 8. Okay, I'm trying to keep track of my time. Let me get into the comments here a little bit. I've been very, very bad about following the comments. Let me go back to the gun discussion if it's okay, because I've been very, very bad. I've been posting your comments here. You've been able to see them on the screen. I haven't really talked to you about them. I haven't really shared them or spoken on them or shared them with you. It was Don way back that said that gun weapons safety protections are not happening because of GOP inaction. Yeah, I would say it was GOP inaction, but I would also say the fact that they've been bought. Citizens United, they're owned by the gun lobby. The gun lobby, despite the new weakness and frailty and breakdown, if you will, of the NRA, they continue to launder. And by the way, I'm going to back out of my own point. In 2016, and the federal government investigated this, and this investigation began during the Trump regime and was quashed. The state of New York continued it. New York State Attorney General Letitia James continued this, and it has charged Wayne LaPierre and charged the NRA. They laundered roughly $82 million in Russian money, which means they took money direct from Putin's government and then handed it to candidates across the country. The NRA didn't have $82 million to spend. Wayne LaPierre is a billionaire. He's taken NRA members' dues and stuffed it in his pocket for 30 years now. He's got multiple mansions, was trying to buy a plane, the whole deal. So the NRA continues to own a good number of politicians because they continue to take in money from nefarious sources, the gun manufacturers primarily, but also foreign money, and they hand it back out in big campaign contributions. So it is partially GOP in action, but it's also Citizens United that they've been bought and paid for. So there's that. So Don, I think you're right, but I think it's a little bit beyond that. It's not just inaction, it's paid for, sponsored inaction, and at times more than just inaction, but literally fighting back against any other action. Donna says, I don't think arming teachers is a good idea, and neither do the teachers. Correct. Polling done among educators across the country is overwhelming that they do not want to be armed. And beyond that they think being armed will actually exacerbate the problem. And they're right, it will exacerbate the problem. More guns has never led to more peace. It has never led to less death. Again, 3 to 4% of the world's population here in the States, 22 to 24% of all the privately owned weapons on Earth are here in the States. There are more weapons in the United States than people. I believe the average, I'm working from memory, so you can slaughter me if you want, but I'm working from memory. I believe that the average is somewhere around 2.4 weapons per resident of this country. That's staggering. Just staggering. I may have that wrong. If I type stuff into a search engine while I'm trying to talk to you, I start to type exactly what I'm saying, which is not necessarily what I want to search. That's why George is so invaluable. He can find things for me like that. That's what I get without having it. Yeah, that's what I get for not having him here. Randall mentions that he's not sad in any way, shape, or form because the father was arrested and charged because the father is the one that bought the AR-style assault rifle for the son for Christmas. It is illegal for anyone to sell to a child. Correct. Let me see. Let me move that one out. Let me check some of the others. Randall also mentions that a parent shouldn't be able to gift a weapon. By the way, I think Randall's using the right wording here. For as much criticism as Democrats get as a political party, as a political organization, as a philosophy about poor messaging, this is a very easy piece of messaging because it's true. They're not just guns, they're just firearms, they're weapons. They are weapons. And the legislation that would protect us from said weapons is then, therefore, weapons safety protections. It's very simple. Donna, we bought our son, no, I didn't read this one ahead, so hopefully, we bought our son a shotgun. He was 11. He hunted with his grandpa. The rule was the gun was always loaded when unloaded. Jesus, read, Jeff. Read the right words, and then you'll get the right message. The gun was always unloaded when he was not hunting. The gun stayed in a gun rack, and the ammo was locked up in our bedroom. He had to ask for his ammo, and he only got it when Grandpa picked him up to go hunting. That's one way to do it. I happen to think 11 might still be a bit too young, but hey, again, that's your family. I do not tell your family how to operate. But I do agree. You keep the weapon itself in one place. You keep the ammo somewhere else. And you keep the weapon unloaded. There's so many common sense weapon safety things that we can do in our own homes. You can keep the guns in a locked gun case. You can keep the ammo and the weapon in two separate places. I get it. And if you're one of these home defense nuts who thinks that an AR-15 is somehow going to protect your home, I can understand where maybe you even don't want to keep them in two different places. But that also doesn't mean that you can't keep the gun locked up. And if you're worried that, well, I hear somebody breaking in, and what if I have to go into this locked cabinet? Well, then put a combination on it. Put a digital combination lock on it. Hit a 4-digit code and open the thing. I don't know where the key is, or can I find the key quickly enough when somebody's breaking in my house? Jeez. There are common sense ways around this. Mike mentions his dad gave him I think I said this wrong during the week too, a 410. It's probably not said that way. Shotgun in his 22. Before he was 18, the vast majority of boys, we never shot anyone. It's not the guns, it's bad parents and kids. It's the guns. You can't shoot anything if you can't get to a gun. Weapons are part of this. The weapons manufacturers have blood on their hands here. The NRA has blood on its hands. The thoughts and prayers Republicans have blood on their hands. Yes, it is the effing guns. It's pretty hard to shoot somebody if you can't get to a weapon to shoot them with. But I understand your point. I understand why some people think that way. It's not the gun. The gun doesn't get up out of the case, arm itself, and shoot people. I get it. It's like a computer. Computers are only supposed to do what we tell them to do. AI is a whole different topic, but if I tell a computer to print, it should print. If I tell it to open up a program, it should work. Guns, somewhat similar. It can only operate if someone is operating it. But if it's right there next to you, if it's right where you can grab it, again, If all you see are nails, the only solution you have is a hammer. And the only solution you see, I always butcher that. One of these days I'm going to memorize it. Tom, thrilled to have Tom here on the program, a former guest of the program, family, the show family, as it were. Tom's invitation to the program, by the way, is always open-ended. He's welcome to visit us anytime. Problem with the debate coming up is that DirecTV and Disney are having a you know what contest. He is correct. Disney or DirecTV wants more money from Disney for carrying all of its channels. All Disney channels right now, including local channels, are not available on DirecTV. ABC is hosting this debate. My hope is, and we've seen this happen before, my hope is that when Tuesday arrives, that DirecTV will throw the switch and local ABC channels will be available again. I remember during Superstorm Sandy in New Jersey, one of the cable companies, it may have even been my cable company, Optimum, the finest cable company and internet provider I've ever had, ever, and by a long distance. Not even close. The best. If I could access Optimum, Cablevision, formerly Cablevision, they have a new name now. Here, if I could get them here, I wouldn't think about it for 5 seconds. I'd switch. They were having a bit of a you know what contest with a local channel in the New York, New Jersey area. But when Superstorm Sandy hit, they flipped the switch and they put the channel back on because it was provided news. And people needed news and information. They needed to know who lost power, was somebody safe, was the hospital being evacuated, what roads were closed, how bad the flooding was, how much longer it was going to rain, the winds, the whole deal. They needed news and information. So they actually restarted one of those channels. My hope would be that DirecTV would do the same as a public service to the country. If they want to have a pissing contest with ABC, with Disney ABC, then after the debate is over, turn the switch back off. That's fine. Great. So they can't watch bad Monday Night Football on ESPN. It doesn't break anybody's heart. But I would hope for the debate that they would turn the switch and allow ABC to be accessed across the country. But it is, he's right. They are having that right now. Major issue, the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 playbook for the next Republican president, which includes the destruction of the constitutional republic form of government. Randall is correct. Project 2025 is not just tax cuts. It's a damn big part of it, to be honest. It's not just that. Let me see if I can find for you. Actually posted this. Here it is. This is I've told you that I like memes sometimes because it can be very, very effective. Here's some of the highlights, or lowlights, if you will, of Project 2025. Purge the government of thousands of civil servants and replace them with unqualified far-right loyalists. Correct. The plan calls for firing 30 to 50,000, between 30,000 and 50,000 federal government civil servants, people who have worked for the government for a career throughout varied and multiple administrations, that no matter what party is that's in power, they go to work each day and do their job on behalf of the government agency, department that they represent, and the people of this country that they represent. Well, Trump and Project 2025 want to get rid of 30,000 to 50,000 of them and replace them with 20-something cult loyalists. What kind of service do you think you'll get from them? Send the Justice Department after Trump's political enemies. We've talked about that a lot. Pardon all the January 6th participants. This reminds me of something I'm going to completely break again. Yeah, I should try to wait till after 8 o'clock. I'll look it up. National abortion ban. Reverse the FDA's approval of abortion medication. It actually calls for shutting down the FDA entirely. Remove any mentions of abortion and reproductive health. Reverse President Biden's student debt forgiveness, because we try to encourage all these kids to go to college, and then we make them pay for it for the rest of their lives, so that they can never own a home. Some can't own a car, and it makes them indentured servants in a way. Oh, we called your loans. You graduated. Your loan's due now. So they can't get a really well-paying job in the industry, business, or form of education that their degree calls for. The loans start coming due. They take any kind of job they can get to make sure they can make the loan payments. It's exactly what the right wants. Cheap labor. That's why, for all the bluster that the right and Trump give us about immigration, we will never close that border. They want cheap black and brown labor, but they want that labor to be subservient, uneducated, and willing to do just about anything for little or no money whatsoever. One really has to wonder, if the billionaires bankrupt all of us, what exactly do we buy their goods with? Henry Ford himself, for being the racist and anti-Semite that he was, at least he knew that if the very workers he employed could not buy his cars, he wouldn't be in business very long. What else we got? Tax handouts to the ultra wealthy. Well, that's become a Republican staple since Nixon. Not just cut Social Security and raise the retirement age, end it. And they want to end Medicare. Now, this particular meme says here they want to cut and privatize. You want to end Social Security, period. And take all the monies that are in the trust fund currently and just hand them out as tax cuts. They want to return this country to where there is no retirement savings for any one period, except whatever you are able to save privately in a 401k, which of course the 401k then goes to Wall Street for them to play with and charge endless commissions against. Abolish the Department of Education. The Department of Energy is also on that. The Securities and Exchange Commission is also on the chopping block. We talked about the FDA. I said Department of Energy. The Bureau of Land Management, the Department of the Interior, Housing and Urban Development. Pretty much everything other than the Department of Justice and the Pentagon are on the chopping block, because billionaires, if they're unregulated, nothing can stop them. Remember, government regulations are not barriers. They are protections. It was the government that put seatbelts in cars. It was the government that said you can't sell spoiled beef to people because they get sick and die. It's the government that took lead out of paint and out of gas, which means out of the air and out of the water. Even George H.W. Bush, in conjunction with Congress, it was the government that solved the acid rain problem. Government did that. Project 2025 ends government. It ends it. It basically ends it. No taxes for the rich. No taxes for corporations. no capital gains taxes. I know Trump says we're going to cut capital gains to 15%. They mean to eliminate all taxes on the top 1% and the largest corporations. The poor would pay more. Middle class would pay more. 8:01 p.m. We've entered our final hour here on The Kennedy Effect. We are live with you for the 8th of September 2024. He remembered suddenly. I'm checking in with Thomas. Just checking on this with Thomas really quick. We are live. It's our final hour. We'll take you as close to 9 o'clock as we can take you. I have to admit, I'm losing steam. I'm getting tired. I cannot get enough water. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I can't get enough water. We are live right now on my Facebook, Jeff Kennedy. We're live on our home group page for all things that surround the Kennedy Effect, That Other Side of Information. We are live on our YouTube channel, which is also That Other Side of Information. We are live on the Ghost Claw Productions Facebook page. We are live on the TCP Media Group Facebook page. We're live on the Hot101.net Facebook page and the Our Revolution Pennsylvania Facebook page. We are live on almost 140 different places across the Facebook universe. We are live on my Twitch channel, which is Jeff R. Kennedy. We are live on my LinkedIn, which is Jeff Kennedy as well. The audio radio portion of the program is blasting out across gcpr.live. gcpr.live. Ghost Claw Productions Radio. Plug it in to any search engine. You will find us. You will find everywhere that you can listen to us. You will find out our schedule. We are also live on one of the creators, founders of Global Internet Radio and the radio station that gave me my first shot here, and that is hot101.net. Our name is our web address, hot101.net, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and the TuneIn Radio app. Listen on any type of device that can connect to the internet. You can Bluetooth it as well. You can also tell Alexa to play hot101.net. We can try to take your phone calls, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. We will attempt your phone calls coming up now after us from 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and even a little bit before. I know that they go live on Facebook and some other video places before we end up here, as they get their program rolling and get it shared out and get it everywhere it needs to be. The Villain's View comes up live from 9 p.m. all across Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. Anywhere that you can find GCPR, you can find the Villain's View an hour, less than an hour now, from now. They are live. Thomas and the crew, Thomas and the Guild, live from 9 p.m. here on GCPR.live and all of our video outlets as well. T. Nathan comes up from 11 p.m., I'm pretty sure, even though it's Sunday, pretty sure he's here at 11. And then, of course, Thomas returns tomorrow morning with the sound of coffee as the broadcast week begins on GCPR.live and hot101.net. Let me get to something else I wanted to there's something else I wanted to get to. And that was about the debate. I can find the article now. I should tell you too, here's what we're planning to do this week. Of course, we're planning to be with you Monday through Thursday from 8 p.m., 8 to 9 p.m. for our weeknight program. Tuesday is the debate. The debate, to the best of my knowledge, unless I'm wrong, is scheduled to begin from 9 p.m. So we will be on from 8 to 8:45, 8:50, take you right up to 9 o'clock, sign off. We'll get you ready for the debate as best we can, and any other big, huge stories that might be taking place that day. Sign off, and then by good, go watch the debate. I strongly encourage all of you, please, 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 go watch the debate. Be informed, even if you already know how you're voting. But certainly, 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 if you are not sure how you're voting, I beg you, absolutely beg you to watch the debate. If you know how you're voting, I still want you to watch the debate. Be informed. And especially since, like I said, this is going to be it. There's not going to be another one. This chair's really stupid about it too now. There's not going to be another presidential debate. There just isn't. There is going to be one vice presidential debate, which I think is going to be, again, must-see TV. J.D. Vance, who can't put two coherent thoughts together and seems to talk in circles compared to Coach Walls. It's going to be very interesting to watch that as well. But it's just you need to be informed. And please, 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 because I'm going to get very, very repetitive about this now. Because Labor Day's past. We are in the home stretch. This is full throttle. This is warp 9. All the way through to the end of November 5th. We're at a crucial stage now. This is it. This is for all the marbles. This is for the continuation of democracy or the end of it. We are in the final stretch. Please, 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 if you are not sure, if you are registered to vote, it is very simple to check. Just a little bit of work online. It's not difficult. You can go to your state Department of State or your county elections office. Most, if not all of which can be done online in the comfort of your own home, from your own device. Check your registration status. If you are not registered, in many places across this country, it is not too late to register. If you would like a mail-in ballot, it's not too late to get a mail-in ballot in most places across the country. I am not here to tell you that I know exactly what the dates are for every county in the country. I sure as heck do not. I can tell you that there are counties across this country who will actually start mailing ballots within the next few weeks. Most go out at the beginning of October. There are places in the country where they start going out this week. So please, I'm begging you. And not just if you're voting like me. Look, I can't come up with any justifiable reason why anyone would vote Republican. Unless you're a billionaire. Unless you are so independently wealthy that you probably never have to work again. Nobody should be voting Republican. If you have to work for a living, if you literally have to work for a living, you count on that weekly paycheck to get by. I can't think of a single justifiable reason why you would vote Republican in this era, in this modern time. I can't think of a reason why a single person of color would vote Republican. I can't think of a single reason why a woman would. That doesn't leave you a lot of people. But even if you plan to vote Republican, please vote. It is your constitutional right. And we're a better and a stronger democracy. We're a better and stronger society when we vote. All of us. Voter participation in Australia is something like 98%. Why on earth would we not want the same thing here in this country? And I'm sure that we'll be talking about in weeks coming forward that the Republican state government in Texas has purged over 1 million people from the voter rolls. They are overwhelmingly people of color and Democratic voters. Georgia has purged over 750,000. Ohio, 500,000. They are traditionally Democratic voting blocks. Union members, people of color, seniors, the poor. They can't win on issues. Hell, they're not even trying. They can't win on issues and policy. So they'll just keep you from voting. And that's exactly why you should vote. And by the way, Republicans, if you think some of you weren't caught up in that voter purge, you're wrong. Don't let them take the vote from you. It's yours, damn it. It's yours. It's your constitutional right. Period. Dateline Washington, article written by Mariah Balnett. Walz touts Democratic record of defending LGBTQ rights and says Harris will advance the cause if elected. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz touted Vice President Kamala Harris's record defending LGBTQ plus rights on Saturday night. So this is from last night. Pledging to a supportive crowd, she will advance their cause if elected. Walz, the Democratic vice presidential nominee, headlined the national dinner for the Human Rights Campaign, which he praised as, quote, the best party in the nation. He entered the sprawling ballroom of 3,500 attendees to John Mellencamp's small town, and a boisterous standing ovation from the members of the largest LGBTQ plus organization. He noted how Harris worked alongside President Biden to issue executive orders protecting the rights of LGBTQ plus people in healthcare, the military, and education. Let's remember, it was President Biden who turned the tide on same-sex marriage. President Obama was against same-sex marriage. President Biden helped change that. Well, he was vice president at the time, but you get my point. Quote, and the reason she did, it was pretty simple. Kamala Harris believes in equal justice under the law, and that means proper, complicated, equal justice under law. It is not to be debated. It's not that difficult. I would have to say, one of the great messages that I think the Harris-Walz campaign, the great things that they've done, we talked about this going back to the convention, is that they have made it comfortable. They've made it cool again for Democrats to puff out their chests a little bit, stand up tall, and say, yes, I'm a Democrat. And I'm proud of it. And I'm a Democrat because I believe in these core principles. Because I believe in healthcare. I believe in education. I believe in these things. I believe that the 99%, what's best for the 99% is best for the country. Because, oh, by the way, 99 is more than 1. There's more of us than there are the billionaires. When policies are enacted that's good for the 99%, that's good for the country. We are the country. There's nothing wrong with billionaires. There's nothing inherently wrong with there being the existence of billionaires when they use that money to buy the system, to rig the system, to cheat the rest of us, to extract wealth from the rest of us. Then that's when something's wrong. I've used this example on the program 1,000 times. Steve Jobs deserved all the money that came to him. He invented technology we didn't even know we needed. I have more computing power in this phone than NASA had on the Apollo, Gemini, and Space Shuttle projects combined. He invented technologies we didn't even know we needed. He deserved the wealth that came with it. He does not, well, he's passed on now, but he did not, what was not allowed is to take that wealth and buy off sections of the government to make sure the money keeps rolling in. That's where it goes wrong. Donna mentions, I'm so mad at the state of Missouri. You should be. Used to be a solid blue state. People knew better. It's one of the states, one of the bigger states where the Koch network decided to spend extra money. I talked to you about this on the program before, that you have to almost admire the Koch network takeover of this country and buying these formerly solid blue states, blue from the time of the Republican Great Depression, because they still loved Roosevelt and Truman and Kennedy. And they went in and made them red. And they did it cheaply. It's easy to make a state like Idaho red. There's only a couple 100,000 people that live there. It's easy to flip the Dakotas and Wyoming and Nebraska. Nobody lives there. But one of the states where they had to really work and spend some extra money was Missouri. Missouri was a blue state. We are fighting for reproductive rights. We had to get 180,000 signatures to get it on the ballot. We got 380,000 signatures. It was going on the ballot as Amendment 3. Now, late night hours, the judge said that the wording was misleading, and now they are trying to get it off the ballot. When Republicans can't win in elections, what do? They go to the courts, and they judge shop. They go to courts that they nominated and appointed, because those judges are bought and paid for just like the rest of them. Remember when Republicans used to bitch about legislating from the bench? Now that's all they seek. Now they go judge shop. I'm telling you, Judge Eileen Cannon did not end up as the federal district judge where Trump was moving to, Mar-a-Lago, by accident. If charges were going to have to come against him, it would have to be filed there. She didn't end up there by accident. Republicans are so excellent at the long game. They're so excellent at the long game. Actually, Mike, when Steve Jobs passed away and his family was cleaning out some of his possessions, they found a prototype iPhone from the 80s. He built it by hand. Steve Jobs invented plenty. He's not an Elon Musk. Musk made his money through PayPal and then hired a lot of genuinely smart and talented engineers and scientists. Jobs built things by hand, designed them and built them. He may not have been the brightest CEO in the world. Remember, Apple actually fired him once. He actually fired that. He actually fired them.
And then when the company began to fail, they brought him back. And that's when things like the iPad, iPhone, this iMac, those kind of things began to be introduced and turned it into what I think Apple's market valuation is now, I think, almost $3 trillion. So yeah, he did invent things, and he deserved the wealth that came with it. But you don't get to buy the system. That's where it's wrong, in my opinion. That's where it's wrong. Randall says I'm right. Holy crap! Look out for snow. Australia does have a 98% voter participation rate. They also have laws that make it that you have to vote. Correct. I wouldn't mind seeing that here. To tell you the truth, I wouldn't mind seeing that here. Now, the fines and penalties are not debilitating. It gets a few $100s. And it used to, up until recently, it used to be less than $100. It was annoying more than anything else. But it was enough to get people to take the time to vote. There's so many things that we can do in this country, even short of fines, to get people to vote. Why do we still vote on a Tuesday? It goes back to when we were a purely agrarian society. Why are we not voting on weekends when the majority of people are not working? There's still plenty of people that work on weekends, I get it. Why is our voting period not more than one day? And I'm talking about nationally now. I know there's places where, even given the deep red control of Georgia, they haven't been able to eliminate early voting entirely. They've cut it down significantly. They've cut the number of polling places, especially in black areas. Rich white suburbs, hell, we got a single machine for every voter. Million people in Atlanta, here's your one machine, here's your 12-hour long line. And yet they still vote. So I'm not suggesting that we necessarily have to have fines. Some of this stuff is really easy to solve. Why? Why do we still vote on a Tuesday? Why do we vote on a work day? Why is it not a weekend? If you insist on having voting on a weekday, then it should be a national holiday, like Memorial Day or Labor Day or the 4th of July. Why do we not have multiple days of voting? Like a week. Voting starts November 5th and ends on the 12th. Period. Or a 4-day weekend. Starts on Friday, ends on a Monday. Why do we vote in November? That, again, goes back to when we were an agrarian society. The harvest was all done by then. We're not a farming nation anymore. We have a nation with farming, but we are not an agrarian society any longer. Why isn't voting moved to when the weather is more friendly throughout the entirety of the country? Like July. Why isn't July 4th election day? Let's make July 4th election day. It's already a national holiday. It's in the middle of summer. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, the New England states don't have to deal with wintry weather. Because one significant part of the political establishment doesn't want you to vote. They don't want to make it easier. They want to make it harder. And Trump already told you, just vote for me this one last time. You'll never have to vote again. He's not kidding. He's telling you the truth. Tom says, make it April 15th tax day. It's a half glass, half full. Half glass. Yeah, easy for me to say. Glass half full, glass half empty point of view, isn't it? That's a bit of both, isn't it? The best and the worst of the system, the voting and tax day. But why isn't it July 4th? Summer weather throughout the country. Much, much better chance that the weather will encourage people to vote rather than keep them from voting. Most of the country is closed for the holiday. Or make it the July 4th weekend. I think July 4th this past year fell on a Thursday, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think July 4th was a Thursday this past year. Yeah, it fell on Thursday. So make it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, come on. We're better than this. We're better than this. And we don't just need campaign finance reform in this country. We need campaign reform. Elections should be restricted to 6 weeks. Period. 6 weeks. The UK can do that in part because the parties pick the candidates. There aren't primaries. They're not primaries in the way that we think of them. Full primary elections. The parties do that. If more than one Labour member wants to run for a particular house in Parliament, the party decides who the nominee will be. It eliminates primaries, so that makes it easier. Let me get back to the AP. I was going to glance through just to see if there was any more articles that I wanted to highlight before we said good night. Let me see. Dateline Highland, California. Out of control wildfire in the foothills of a national forest east of Los Angeles threatened tens of thousands of buildings and forced hundreds of residents. 10 of thousands of buildings. That doesn't sound right to me the way that's written. And forced hundreds of residents to flee Sunday amid days-long heat wave and triple-digit temperatures. The so-called line fire was burning along the edge of the San Bernardino National Forest, about 65 miles east of Los Angeles. As of Sunday morning, the blaze had charred about 27 square miles of grass and brushland. They use a fancy word for it here, leaving a thick cloud of dark smoke blanketing the area. Fire burned so hot Saturday that it created its own thunderstorm-like weather systems of cryocumulus clouds, which could bring more challenging conditions, such as gusty winds and lightning strikes. Think about the science of that. Think about the science behind that. A climate change-induced wildfire burnt so hot and so intensely, it became its own weather system. Stop trying to tell me that climate change is not real. Because it is staggeringly real. I can't even add to that, to be honest. I'm not a scientist, so I can't really add much more to that. But after we sign off tonight, try to put that in the back processor and think about that. A fire burned so hot and so intensely, it became its own weather system. Dateline, Tuskegee, Alabama. On opposite sides of the courthouse square in Tuskegee, Alabama, a place steeped in African American history, including the city's namesake university and World War II airmen, two opposing congressional candidates recently greeted families and gathered at a county festival. Democrat Shamari Figures, who worked in the Obama White House and as a former top aide to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, is trying to flip the seat, which was redrawn after a lengthy redistricting battle. Republican Caroline Dobson, a real estate attorney and political newcomer, is attempting to keep the seat in GOP hands. This is another tactic that's used. Now, both parties are a bit guilty of this one. Certainly more so Republicans in recent years, having forced redistricting in red states, which is arguably unconstitutional. Redistricting is only supposed to happen every 12 years, every 10 years after the census. Texas, every time something doesn't go right with them, they redistrict. South Carolina's done the same thing. North Carolina's done it. They kind of redistrict anytime they feel like it now. New York State has done it, I think, 3 times in the last 4 years. And again, going to court to force these things, forcing the courts to make these decisions, legislating from the bench. I thought Republicans hated that, except when they win. Then it's okay. 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189 is the phone number. And yes, it is turned on. I'm remembered. How lucky. 267-227-9189 is the phone number. This is the final half hour or so, could be a little less, of the Kennedy Effect for Sunday, September the 8th. My Facebook, That Other Side of Information on Facebook, plus 140 other places, That Other Side of Information on YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn, GCPR.live, GhostClawProductionsRadio.live, Hot101.net, TCP Media Group as well, 267-227-9189. Randall mentions that Project 2025 would do away with the National Weather Service. Well, the European Weather Service is more accurate than our own National Weather Service because our own National Weather Service has been so defunded that they are short-staffed, they are short of technology and equipment. Also, big business doesn't want you to know about climate change. One of the most interesting things that happened during the Trump regime is he appointed one of these climate-denying, science-denying, corporate privatizers, who was a hedge fund guy, if I remember correctly. He appointed the gentleman to head, his name is escaping me at the moment. I used to know it by memory, and I haven't talked about him for so long. I've forgotten his name. So he appointed this gentleman to head up NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. His job, when Trump appointed him, was to defund and privatize NASA and get NASA out of the weather business. Because NASA, believe it or not, has a lot to do with monitoring global weather and reporting it and studying the data and so on and so on. And when the gentleman took over NASA, that's how he did. He addressed senior management there and said, we're out of this business. We're not doing this anymore. Then he started having, to his credit, that's it, Tom got him, Jim Bronstein, started having meetings behind closed doors, out of the media, and actually ended up being convinced of climate change. He went into NASA as a climate denier, and after meeting with the people at NASA, became a believer. Went back out to the press and said, we are going to make it our mission here that everything that we do is going to have a climate change element to it. We are going to study it, report on it, and they've continued to do so. It's exactly why in Project 2025 they want to get rid of it. Fossil fuel companies don't want you to know about climate change. They've been trying to suppress climate change science since the 1950s. And the first scientific warnings about climate change go back to the 1890s, at the height of the Industrial Revolution. Patricia mentions in the comments, why don't more registered voters actually vote? In our primary in April in my township, only 37% voted. Is it because there are no real choices? It's not the case in November. Registrations are up, volunteers are up, donations are up, canvassing is up. My hopes are up, but we're not letting up. Get out the vote work every day. There are a couple documented reasons as to why voter turnout, voter participation is as low in this country as it is. Many of which I've already mentioned. We vote on a weekday. Mail-in voting is not available everywhere. The state of Oregon does entirely mail-in voting. And I believe Washington State does as well. The entirety of the primary and the general are done by mail. I don't believe they do any in-person voting. That I could be wrong about. I'm pretty sure they do the entire thing by mail. So there are people who don't have access to mail-in voting who must show up on that weekday. Very famously, the Hospitality Workers Union in Las Vegas, Tom will know this, they set up polling places in all of the casinos so that their members, and they put this in their union contract, that their members are given time to go vote. So people work for a living. You have weather. Weather, I think, is still a part of it. You're talking about November, even though it's early November. Think about some of the northernmost states, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the northern parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, the higher elevations of Colorado, Maine. They're not hugely populated, but they're already getting snow. It's cold. Georgia, you have the very significant restrictions on polling places, especially in black neighborhoods. One voting machine for tens of thousands of people. Lines that are 8 and 10 hours long. Remember the famous legislation that was passed inside Georgia? You can't bring anybody water if they're waiting in line. They can bring it for themselves, but you can't bring it to them. It's illegal. There's a lot of different reasons. But none of the reasons. Well, there's also, I should back up, there's also a significant percentage of people that believe their vote doesn't count. They have been disenfranchised. Not just having their vote stolen from them by Republicans by being purged off the voter rolls. They've been convinced that their vote doesn't matter. If Republicans genuinely believe, the Republican establishment, the billionaires that own them, the Koch network, if they genuinely believe, and I'm talking private, behind closed doors conversations, if they genuinely believe that your vote was meaningless, they wouldn't work so damn hard to steal it from you. They wouldn't try to strip you of it. Remember the example that I've used on the program all too often. Let's think of a party. Not a political party, but an actual social gathering party. 100 people in the room, just to make the math easier. One of them is a billionaire. The other 99 are not. When those 99 people get together and vote in a block, that's not selfishness. That's motivated self-interest. That then becomes the common good. A measurable percentage of eligible voters have decided that there is no common good, that their vote does not count toward the common good. Some of them have been convinced by the right that if they vote in their own self-interest, that somehow that's un-American. It's very selfish of you. Except that there's more of us. Since when is 99% of something not a majority? So I think there's a lot of different reasons for it. And we also know what we could be doing in a modern era to alleviate that. We should have upwards of 80% participation in this country. Easy. We pat ourselves on the back when we break 60%. We know how to solve the problem. Billionaires, Republicans don't want to solve the problem because they don't want you to vote. Because the vast majority of people are not going to vote the same way the billionaires are. I am missing a couple of comments. Whoops. Tom Bruno, who's a member of our programs, family, friend of the show, guest on the show, open invitation to always return to the show, does an excellent blog called Nuclear Politics. The link is there on screen. You should check it out. If you can't remember or click on that link, I don't know if that's a link. Well, in the chat, you can click on the link. You won't be able to click on it, I don't think, on the screen, but it's in the chat as a link. You can click on that. It is informative. It is not written in Latin. It's not, you can understand what Tom's telling you. He does break it down quite well. And plus, you're intelligent people. You can understand it anyway. But the point is, it's not in Latin. It's not written like legislation with a lot of whereases for dues. It's not written like a Supreme Court decision. It's not, it's understandable. Check out his blog. It really is quite informative. I think you'd get a lot out of it. Nuclear Politics with an X.com. And not X as in Twitter X, but X as in clever way to spell politics. Hopefully a memorable way to spell politics. Thrilled that George is back. We've got about 10-15 minutes left in the show. I'm going to try to make the last 10-15 minutes I feel like a drop. Let me see what else is happening. Or what else that I wanted to get to? I did want to get to this because here's another one of these fake, non-existent issues that Republicans are using to try to throw muck into the gears to embarrass the vice president before the election. Let me just quickly, Randall, hang on one second. Let me just quickly read this, beginning of this. This is written by Kevin Freking, Freking, with the Associated Press, Dateline, Washington. House Speaker Mike Johnson is heeding the demands of the more conservative wing of his Republican conference. To think that there's anybody more quote-unquote conservative than Mike Johnson is pretty effing scary. The man is a white Christian nationalist, and he's a fascist by all regard. He has teed up a vote on a bill this week that would keep the federal government funded for 6 more months and require states to obtain proof of citizenship, such as birth certificate or passport, when registering a person to vote. One party wants you to vote, the other one doesn't. And if you don't know the effing difference between which one does and doesn't at this point, I'm not sure I can help you. But it's pretty damn clear. Go ahead, sir. Airwaves are yours.
Yeah.
We got about 10 minutes.
I know. I'm only going to be on here a few. The last point you made. Well, that's ridiculous. My driver's license, which I've had since age 16 in 1968, I had to take my birth certificate to get my driver's license to prove that I was an American citizen.
Right.
So I've already since 1968, I've proven that I am a birth citizen in this country.
Yep.
I should not have to show a birth certificate again.
Right.
It's in my record in Harrisburg, PA.
Right. You might be a little different. But if you had to right now, could you find a copy of your birth certificate? Do you have it where you could find it? I know where mine is. Do you know where yours is?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you
And that's the point. That's exactly the point. The overwhelming majority of people in this country, especially if you've ever moved in your life, if your parents had passed away, would be hard-pressed to find a legal copy, and that would be raised, embossed, is that how you say it, embossed? Stamped, you know what I mean? Right, yeah.
Embossment.
That most Americans, I would venture to say upwards of 3/4 of them, would be hard-pressed to find that official copy anywhere on their person, in their house, etc., and be able to produce it. That's exactly why. That's exactly why this legislation is being proposed. Even in a deep red state, Republicans themselves, Texas tried this. Greg Abbott tried this in Texas, and even his own party shot it down. He wanted to wipe all, I'm pretty sure it was Texas. It might have been Florida now that I'm thinking about it. I might have the state wrong. They wanted to wipe the voter rolls entirely. Completely. Not a single human being registered to vote at all in the state. Completely wipe it out and start from scratch. Why would they want to do such a thing? To keep people from registering and voting. And even their own party went against that. I really think that was Texas, but I might have it wrong. But these are not, in Texas, your student ID, it's got a picture of you on it. Your student ID is not a valid form of ID to vote, but a gun license is. Why would that be? Students tend to vote more Democratic. Gun owners are more Republican. So you're right. When you registered to vote, you already proved who you are. But we just want to make you keep having to prove it over and over and over again. There are red states that no longer allow, you must produce a driver's license in order to vote. Why would they want to do that? Seniors, at increasing rates as you get older, don't drive anymore. So they don't have a valid driver's license. Seniors also vote in very high percentages. They tend to vote Democratic because they want Social Security protected. So then we can knock the seniors off. Oh, you don't have a driver's license anymore. Oh, sorry, can't vote. One party wants you to vote. The other one doesn't. Very, very simple. And you know that. For anybody else out there who might not, You start to see the logic behind this now. It's to keep you from voting. It's to keep you from voting. Go ahead. What else you got?
Yeah, well, here in PA, you know, we've had 2 years of Pennsylvania State House representatives, one extra vote in the majority that are Democrat. And that was the first time in 12 years that the Democrats have controlled the House. And the Senate is still Republican. Yes, we have a Republican governor. Yes, a great a Republican governor. We have a great Democratic governor in this state, Shapiro. But I remember back when the Republicans controlled the House, vast majority, and the Senate vast majority, and the governor was Republican. And what did they pass then? They passed, whereas before, a student with a photo student ID in college could vote. They did away with that. They just wanted to suppress voters in this state. And it's continuing and continuing and continuing across the states. And I'm going to let you go because it's getting real close to the Villains View. So I'll let you go, but God bless you. George, I hope you had a great time with your family event this evening. I'm glad you snuck in to catch up again. Good night, folks.
He snuck in right at the end to keep me straight. Tom mentioned in the chat that he might have to call George for some PC help. The help desk is on the air. Where's my mouse here? Tuesday nights. I'm trying to type it in. Tuesdays from 6 p.m. Tuesday evenings. I have that right? Tell me.
Yeah. It's Tuesday from 6 to 8, and then you come up at 8. So
right. Then it goes really downhill. Then I come in from 8. All the smart stuff happens before I take the air, and then I dumb it all down from 8 to 9. We will be with you Tuesday. Tuesday is debate night. We will be with you Tuesday night. Everything that I've seen is that the actual debate itself starts at 9 p.m. So we'll have our program. That's my plan. If I'm wrong, I don't think I'm wrong. I think it starts at 9. So the plan is that we will be with you from 9 or from 8. We'll take you right up to the debate. I don't even know what this is. Oh, somebody trying to get their music on the program. So that's the plan. We'll be with you. We'll be with you tomorrow from 8. Tomorrow's Monday. Again, I had a friend tell me when I was in my 20s, 100 years ago, when I was in my 20s, that the older you get, every day is Monday. And oh my God, is he right? Oh my God, it's freaking Monday again. So our plan is to be with you Monday through Thursday, 8 to 9. I always have to say plan because I never know what's going to happen. It could be a health thing, could pop up, computer crap out, whatever it is. But especially on Tuesday, I think we're going to focus tomorrow night mostly on the debate. And then I think Tuesday, we'll take you right up to debate time. We really want to talk to you this week. We want you to call. We want your comments. What do you want to see in this debate? What are you looking forward to? What are your fears? What do you not want to see happen? Please let us know what you're thinking about. So we've got about 5 minutes left. It's time for us to turn it over to the Villains View. Did you have anything that you wanted to throw in there, sir?
I just wanted to tell Tom Bruno, sure, just come into the help desk and ask a question, or if you want to private message me, you can. I can't.
The private message is not good radio. Tune in. Call George and Gilbert. This is the whole premise of the show, for God's sakes. Why would you tell him to message you? The premise of the show is that you two are live on the air taking computer questions. It's the whole premise.
I'm sure, I'm so glad that you, said
Look,
that maybe he has something that's personal. Maybe he has, I don't know.
Well, no,
Maybe
he's
he
not.
has
I'm
something that's,
not asking you how to wipe incriminating information off a hard drive. Jeez, he's asking a computer. Folks, let me straighten it out for you. The help desk is on Tuesday evenings from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So it's once a week, Tuesday from 6 to 8. The premise of the show, and I'm taking credit for creating this, was my idea, damn it. Now, it took Thomas about 0.2 of a second to agree with it. The premise of the show is this. George and Gilbert are computer people. They are absolutely experts at this. Gilbert, by George's own admission, I'm not saying anything that George doesn't agree with. Gilbert, by George's own admission, a little more on the software side. George, much more on the hardware side. So when you're at work and your computer craps, what do? What's the old saying, right? Well, you got to call IT. You got to call the help desk. That's the name of the show, the help desk. Call George, call Gilbert, ask them your computer question. Literally, I'm not kidding you. Call them up, say, look, I have a such and such a computer. I'm trying to reboot Windows or whatever. That's what they're there for. It's brilliant radio, but you got to call them, ask them live on the air. That's what the show's about. So, private message. Damn it, George. Stop. It's the dude.
Okay.
Unless you're trying to wipe from your hard drive where Hoffa's body's buried, call them live. You might want to privately message George if you're trying to hide that kind of info. But anything else, call them live on the air. All right, listen, we've got about a minute left. The Villain's View comes up live on all of the GCPR social media, as well as that other side of information, if I'm allowed to share it, because Facebook might stop me from doing exactly that. So check that out. I'm actually going to try to share that right now before I forget. And, I did it. Hooray. They let me do it. Isn't that nice of them to allow me to share my own content? So their pre-show is live now. Time for us to move out of the way. We will be with you Monday through Thursday, 8 to 9. We'll be with you on debate night. We'll take you straight up to the debate. For everybody at hot101.net, that's DJ Lex, DJ Earl, and all the super talented people at hot101.net, the folks that gave me a chance. For everybody at GCPR, Thomas, Gretchen, Gilbert, Gambit, Bob Cott, everybody at GCPR. It's going to be Cole Goodman soon as well. And for everybody that surrounds the Kennedy Effect, April, George, and Lynn, Kristen, Days of the Dog, I'm Jeff Kennedy. We've done all the damage we can do for one night. We will see you again tomorrow evening. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other. The Villain's View starts right